Hey guys, Cheyanne here. Welcome to another book chapter of the Wolf Squad. So this is book number 6, the origin of the Wolf Squad and how the team became finally the Wolf Squad. So this is the book of how Carberoo and her friends met and how they became, the Wolf Squad after this is way before. In the first book it said that there was a curse and all that. So this is the story of how it came to be. So let's get to it. Let's do it. This part 1, Carberoo's origin. So this one says right here. Alright, let's say, Aroyan year. February 29th, 1189. Earth year. February 28th, 1934. Chapter 1, How My Grandparents Lived. Before the Wolf Squad, and before the Wolf Quentin Squad, my family and I were on a planet called Aurora. Although, before I could tell you the whole story, this is how my mother and my father met, and how my family was created. First, let's go start before my father when he was born. My uncle Prince and Prince Alstone, Vince Peter Aurora, a warrior prince, and the features of Mark Hammond. Which he always started with a turbulent tale. How my father's father was named Leto, Caesar Roman Aurora the First. He had the features of Tom Selleck, and one of the Harry Potter actors. Tom Selleck, one of the Harry Potter actors. After my great grandfather Leto, first began, he was a little spoiled prince, but not a greedy one. He began crafting at a young age. He first crafted the Lightspeed pod for the Aurorians to travel Metropia, Horostopia, Tigris, and eventually many other worlds. He was the best spellcrafter and spot pod builder in his class. After he finished his pods, my Leto the First got a scholarship at the most legendary school in history. The institution were open to half-beings and humans. It was called the College of Spell and Magic Givers. No one was welcome there, except royal families of old. And the families of ones who picked through scholarships. This is very precious, prestigious to get into. It's very expensive. It's about 100 million elms. If you don't know what elm is, it's a currency. It's like a green dollar bill, but it's jelly to touch. It's strong like rubber. But, anyway, I'll tell you this school expensive into, though. Right before my grandfather became king, though, he had to go to college for 4 years. On his first day of school, he was totally scared stiff. But he met other half-beings like his allies later in the future. Their names were Timloff, Says Mukra Tigris, good friends of his, and Ren, Yoke, Topley, Horsetop, and there's also Liam, Daniel, Shachil Lino. They were all good friends, and then there were some boys who think they were better spellcasters, like others like Irith, Frolic Quince Beartops, and Vegeta, a man with a monkey tail, who had using Kai Blast instead of spells. His father instead for him to go there, and who are more powerful. But anyway, Leto the First, one day, decided to eat with his friends. Then a Kai Blast knocked the table over. He looked over and saw Vegeta with his own had his own battle armor on instead of the challenge. So you ready for a fight, or you just stand there? Vegeta just laughed and stroking his new growing beard. My father, Leto the First, without hesitation, lifted up his hands and lifted swift, shaved his new beard off. Vegeta looked in shocked and scared as his beard fell to the ground. My grandfather said, "If you want to get cut down again, don't bother us. Otherwise, your friend will be sorry if you mess with the sons of the rulers of the galaxy." Then walked away. Right before he completely got away, the mysterious girl, walked past him. Her Orion sun color caught the Orion sun caught her raven hair. caught his eye. He looked up at his brown eyes and his gray eyes. She smiled and smiled at Little and smiled back. Okay, see you later. Guys, later, he said. His friends. Then Leto the first walked to the woman and said, hi, he said. Hi, she said back. I'm Prince Leto Caesar Raymond Aurora first, Leto said, putting his hands out to shake hers. I'm Princess Sadia Link Ravenwing, she said. You're a Ravenwing? You're a Ravenwings? Leto asked. Well, it's just my family. Me and them are the last of them, Sadia said, with sadness. Well, I can change that. I'll become a king next week, and I want you and your family to live in my family, Leto the first said, stroking his brown hair. It sounds lovely, but I don't know if we can live on our planet because, you see, she said, folding her wings from her back, the same color as her hair. The planet we live on has the habitat for us, but we can't just live on another planet, she said sadly, tears running down her eyes. Leto lifted her chin. His gray eyes glimmered at hers and said, now we confuse him. Leto said, if I'm king, when I'm king, I'll make a decision for all people to include yours. Sadia smiled and said, thank you. Then Leto the first kissed her, and surprisingly, she realized it was okay. She found the one. Then she said, I've got to get to class. I better want to see you later? I don't want to be late, she said. Sure, I'll make sure you come by my planet so I'm going to get settled, Leto said, smiling. Then left her after school. Father, since I'm able to become king, I'm curious. I want to bring the Wyvern Wings to the palace, Leto said. Let me decide, son. Let's see them. My great-grandfather said. Seloff said, bring them in. Leto first said. Sadia and her parents walked in. Sophia, what happened to your clan? My great-grandfather responded. They've been destroyed, but the bug clan mosquito cleaned up our people, King Sulfur said. I cannot see why you couldn't stay, my great-grandfather said. But first, I want you to be able to land beyond this land. You have to be betrothed to my son, if they want to live here together. We'll marry at dawn. Little the first, we have to marry each other to join our kind, Sadia said. My grandfather's eyes looked into Sadia's blue eyes and smiled. We will be married tomorrow soon, at noon, my grandfather holding Sadia's hand. The next day, the church bells rang. My grandfather's marriage of Sadia and Leto. They were happily married together, my grandfather and my grandmother. Hey, babe, my grandfather Leto said. Yes, dear, my grandmother Sadia said. Will you have my children? He asked. Yes, she said, later that night. My grandfather and her were having sex with my grandmother, his eyes gold yellow tone. Then they stopped, and they fell asleep the next day. Honey, I'm pregnant, Sadia said. My grandfather spat out his bass drum. What? That's amazing, Leto said with glee. I must tell the world, Leto said. But, hon, your coronation is today. The day you become king, she said. Son, it's time, my great-grandfather said. Trumpets sounded. The hall of the Wolf King's crowd stood proud and waited for the new king. The doors opened. My grandfather walked into the halls. His golden cape flowed through the halls. As he was walking into the throne room, I am swearing to Losmal will we protect the people of Aurora and serve under the god of Aurora Dogroth, said the priest. I do, Leto said. Then the priest picked up the crown. By the power of the gods, I put the crown of the Gorian kings, the crown of leadership, and the judgment and justice and guidance. Leto bowed and the priest's knees, and the priest put the golden crown on Leto's shaggy brown hair. It fit the crown. but stuck out at the edge of the ground. Sadia was waiting for her husband, rubbing her pregnant baby bump. Everyone was clapping and cheering. They bowed before the new king. The golden crown twinkled in the sunlight. The serene sun. His silver eyes looked into his wife's eyes. This is the best day of my life, Leto said, kissing his wife. Lips in the mouth. Later, my grandfather got married to Sadia and became queen that day. She became queen that day. Sometime my grandfather ruled over Aurora with a mighty fist. Then it was time for my brother and my uncle to be born. He panicked. Dear gods, oh dear gods, he mumbled while pacing around from waiting for some news about his beloved wife. The shaman opened the door. Lord me, how is she doing? Little asked. She is fine. She gave birth to 2 healthy baby boys, the shaman said. With joy, Leto sighed in relief. Then Leto walked in the room, Sadia holding 2 boys in her arms. He looked at his children and his wife, Mangano and Elso. That will be their names for our children, he said. Aurora. February 1st, 12/8/08. Earth, February 1st, 1965. Chapter 2. How my dad lived. My father was the first prince, as always, as well. A rebel, but my Uncle Elson was more like a king than my dad. Grandpa took him to college for spellcasters. The day he went, he met new friends. Prince Vegeta II, Prince Scarlo and Lino, Prince Tiger and Tigress, and Prince Porcium Horstoplus. But last but not least, the Prince of Bertopians, who was the oldest friend of the royal prince, Prince Mustario Blitz Balu Beartops. He was a ruthless but sometimes even mean. My father had the features of Donnie Wahlberg, his young, and had Tom Selleck in him a little bit. He was like a little old hairstyle. His hair's texture was all low bald cut, fade. His color was silver. My uncle's had his black hair, a little spiked style. My uncle was trained to be a soldier for the Imperial Legion, but he had a beard, shaped like King Vegeta shaped. But at the end, Dad's as well, but he's had a goatee. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Mangano looked up at the college. A smile crept upon his silver eyes, seeing his classmates walking through the campus. Well, he said, finally I'm here. With a smile on his face, he walked to the campus arch, where the classroom, a tall girl with directly blonde hair, and caught in the Orion sun, shining. His eyes stopped in his tracks. His silver hair flowed through the wind. The girl turned around. Her hazel eyes looked at Mangano's dad. Dad walked up to her. She looked over and saw him. Hi, she responded. Hi, he said, looked over and saw the cheetah tail swaying back and forth. My name is Prince Mangano Wolfclan Aurora. What's yours? He said. Princess Hitra, Camilla Paula Chariot. Princess of the planet Chitarik, she said. One of the left royals? He asked in sadness. Yes, she said. Hey, Mangano, we gotta go. It's a class, shouted King Vegeta II. A man with the darkest black hair spiked the widow's peak. The same of his dad's, but no beard or mustache. All right, I'll be there, Mangano said. He looked back and realized the girl. He was gone. He shrugged. Then went to his group. Can anyone tell me what the cosmic warp is? Said Professor Inga. The professor, then Mangano raised his hand. Yes, Prince Mangano? Inga said. Cosmic warp uses the body and mind. Powers the form of a complete star in the blast of the pollen away. With a star, he said. The person looked at him with a smile in his face. It seems you've studied so hard, Mangano. And you see those comic spells as ways. Professor Inga said. Prince Monstro snarled at his father. Heh. Looks like you got some skill in the word. I've got a skill of a warrior and an alpha bear, he laughed. In the back of the classroom. But I study unlike you, who thinks he has smarts and brute strength, my father Mangano said. Then Monstro stood up and looked at Mangano and said, You got some nerve, Monstro! Enough with your brute strength. This may be used for a planet, but we don't use it allowed here. Sit down now, shouted Professor Inga. And Monstro sat back down, his facial expression of worry after class. Mangano walked out of the room, searching for the girl with the blonde hair. After all, he saw her eating at the lunch table with Lizurians, half-human, half-livers. He walked up to her and said, Hitra, may I talk to you for a moment, please? He asked. Hertria looked at my father, nodded, and walked in the empty room. Hertria and Mangano looked at each other in the eyes. Mangano gave her a kiss. She liked it, that she started making out with him. He took off his royal chest piece, his gold and emerald chest piece in the middle. His chest was bare. My father's eyes turned back and forth, realized he had to get to class. And so they did. Both stopped and looked at each other and smiled. He put the chest piece back on and said, We have entered to class. We don't want to be late. Then they smooched her. He then smooched her head and went back to class. That night, my father and my brother were eating the royal dinner with my grandfather. Alson, how is your training of the Imperial Army? Little the first asked. It's fine, father. If everything's going well soon, we'll be promoted, my uncle Alson said. My grandfather nodded. And then he looked at my father and said, So how was college? Little the first asked. It's great, father. I met a beautiful woman. My grandfather looked at him as shocked and dropped. My uncle dropped his fork. The change clanged on the plate. My father looked at him and said, What's her name? My grandfather asked, Hitra. Hertria kept me the Apollo chariot. My grandfather said, Last of the one Turek? Little asked, the shock that my father nodded. Then my grandfather's frown with a smile. After dinner, my father went to bed. He went to sleep. He was dreaming a strange dream of me and my brothers being born, and how his love of his life was in his arms in sickness. Then he woke up sweating in tears and walked out of the room. He went to the royal church, where he lit a candle and put his hands to the statue in dog broth. The god of Aurora, the creator of Amalofiscali, began to chant a prayer of love. Translation. I pray to you, help me guide my way to love, protect my family from her life, amen. Tears began dripping down his eyes, and face clenched his teeth. His eyes, squint and narrow. His fist pounded the bricks, his tail twitching. He looked around in the darkness and he saw lit was Auslone, holding a torch, walking to his brother, and holding his hand on his shoulder. I had the same dream, brother. You're not the only one, Auslone said. And the tears came rolling down his eyes. The night the brothers slept in the room of the church. A mausoleum. The next morning, Little the First came into the mausoleum for the morning worship at Dogroth. He smiled and saw his brothers sound sleeping on the ground. Then the worship bell began to ring. The two brothers woke up and forgot that they were in sleeping garments. They quickly rode to the royal bedrooms and got dressed. And ran back downstairs as they began to pray to God, the Aurora. Then the palace opened door. The two Chichurg royal guards came in and bowed to Queen Alsuf and King Grumir and Prince Hitra and Prince Ari. Everyone in the cathedral looked at them. The general of the Doran army, General Eda, looked at them and then, By the great King Salif, stop! What do you think you are doing here? Give me the worship of gods, he commanded. The father held his hand. No need. I invited them, he said. The general looked at Mangano, put his hands in his chest, and bowed. Mangano walked towards Hitra, but her brother Ari stopped him in his tracks. His body was muscular, about 210 pounds, But he and his father, Gunmir, were dressed in tribal garments and brown fur from the mammoth, only to the waist down. The crowns were lizard bones and tribal tattoos. On the men, the woman wore mammoth fur on two-piece. Hitra walked over to Mongono and kissed him on the lips. And Mongono said, King Gunmir, Queen Elisif, and mother and father, I would like to have this beautiful Cherik in the hand of marriage, to keep one of our families as one, and bring back the great planet Cherik, just like my father did with the great Ravenwings years ago, with my mother, Sadia Amelia Ravenwing, and now Hitra kept the Apollo Cherik, will forever from this day. If we marry, we shall live in the ruin forever. Everyone bowed to Mongono. Little walked up and said, My son is right. My son will be a king, and Alson, you will be commander of the army. Little said. Then Gunmir looked at Mongono and said, Prince Mongono, you have my blessing for the hand of marriage. But on one condition. Gunmir said, What is it, Sor? Leto said, I would like shipment of food and my supplies to my people when needed. Gunmir said, Let the first not an agreement. So let it be written. So let it be done, he said. Next week from today, you two will be married and wed at the throne. Gunmir said. Mongono nodded and kissed his love of his life. And then at the monastery, praying in Aurora Dogroth and the priest chant the words of prayer in a rare mixture of Arabic, Indian, and Egyptian. The statue, Dogroth, looked like a human and animal, stood strong in the robe of his holding his eagle wings in the sky, his staff. He had a green-shaped sphere of staff that held the sky. After the chant and the worship service, Mongono was getting ready for the coronation after being king. Then, the next day, the whole kingdom was waiting for the next king to be crowned ruler of Aurora. Then Mongono walked out at the balcony, his parents on one side, the future wife on the other. And the elder priest, holding the crown, said, By swearing to Losoma, will you protect the people of Aurora and serve under the god of Dogroth? Said the priest, I do, Mongono said. By the powers of the gods, I put the crown of the kings of royal leadership, guidance, justice, and enjoyment. So I pointed the crown on the Mongo's head. His shaggy silver hair flowed between the crown and the air. All the people bowed before him. Mongono smiled and looked at Hitra, and they hugged and kissed. One more day until our marriage, he said, holding her hand on his hand and rubbed his noses. Then, that night, Hitra and Mongono were having living quarters. Mongono grunted. His eyes fluctuated from yellowish gold. And then Mongono was finished mating with his process, and he fell asleep with her. Next day, Mongono was pacing back and forth, being nervous about the wedding. That General Eden was Mongono's best man. Don't worry, sire. This will be the best wedding you have, all right. It'll be okay, all right, Eden said. Mongono nodded and smiled. I'm just a little nervous. Then Prince Ari walked to the door and said, We're ready. Meanwhile, at the Bertopia, Enough, brothers! One day I'll beget you for that, yelled Prince Quince II, throwing a bended sword at them. We're not going to have a king like you, not you, Quince. I am, Monster said. The second oldest brother started laughing and ran after room while back at the wedding. Mongono were waiting for the aisle, his love. Then everyone stood up as the bride went down the aisle. The priest said, Will you give this woman to this man? The priest said, I do. Gunmir said, God of Aurora, we are gathered here today to wed this man and woman in matrimony. Do you have the Morian bands of marriage? The priest asked. The band vendor brought over the bands. Then, with both bands, King Mongono lent with Aurora. Your vows, said the priest. Princess Hitra Katmila Pocharet, you are a beautiful woman. I cannot tell how much I love you on this day. You will be my wife, a wonderful queen, and this planet has ever seen. You will be my only one, and forever and always. he said with a smile. Mangano, I never met man, no, gentleman, like you ever in my life. I can't wait to be you with you, forever, she said, smiling. Now put the bands on, the priest said, putting out their hands on. Mangano, put out your armor right 90-degree angle. So the priest said. Mangano put his arm up. The Hitra, put your left arm up for touch the bands with your arms together with a 90-degree angle. The priest said both of them. They nodded. They put their arms together. Let the bands touch each other. As dog earth above us, bless these individuals as they made a promise to take care of each other, in sickness and health, to death do them part. I now pronounce them king and queen, and now you kiss the bride, said the priest, as their bands glowed, and then they put them down and kissed. Then the marriage was complete. The next few weeks, Hitra got a little ill, and Mongo got shaman and asked, "What's wrong with her?" Shaman looked at him with a joyful look. "Ha ha! You're gonna be having kids. Congrats," he said. Mongo smiled and had tears in his rolled down his face. "Finally," he said, wiping a tear away. 9 months later, "Ah!" he just screamed outside. Mongano was pacing in the hallway. Meanwhile, the Bertopia, "Come on, make them push one more to their head," said the witch doctor to the Bertopia. Prince Quince II waited outside, pacing both men of planets in Bertopia. Then, both women gave birth to their kids. The Bertopians, his 7-year-old boy named Irith, was waiting for his rivals, brothers and sisters. Then a couple hours later, gave birth to Solar. Was complete. Back to my planet. I was born, and my twin was born. Mom and Dad were trying to figure out names. How about Cabernet Maria Aurora for this little gal? And Leto Caesar Raymond Aurora II. Named this little guy after my father. My father said, with a smile on his face, and kissed his wife with joy. Soon, 1 year later, my little brother was born. I was on my one. I was one. My brother gave birth to my youngest brother, Leon Lance Fireball Aurora. Me and my twin were excited to see our little brother. And then time when Polar was born, a couple years later. We met Solar, Polar, and even Irith. Eventually became very good friends. And tragedy struck. When suddenly my mother tragically passed, started to get sick, throwing up blood. The shaman looked at symptoms of sickness, the Amovis disease. My mother was dying. "Mangono," she said. "Yes, my darling," my father promised. "Promise me you take care of them, my love," she said. He nodded. Then she died in the arms after a couple minutes later. A couple years. Me and my brothers were 17 and I was Joy. But life was something happened in my world. I hope there is still peace. But in this story, this is about me and my crew with the Wolf Squad, how the origin began of our life, and how we became our heroism and became the Wolf Squad. Chapter 3: The Animal Count Argument. Hurrah. 12:51, 12:17 p.m. Earth, 2019, 18:15 a.m. I'm tired of listening to you, father. Why do we have to do all this time? Yelled Prince Quince II all of a sudden, and the council room screamed, "Silence!" Yelled the Lino elder. The planet of Lino, a shaggy brown fur on top of his face, and went down a red cloak of leadership. "Every time you speak, boy, every man, woman, and child are being slain by the Bulgarian galaxy's blood grubs as we argue right now," yelled Elder Timoff. "Now, Prince Quince, do you know not to give us their soldiers, and we need war dominions? Abominations, we call themselves insects," the elder Vegeta, while holding his bar upside down by his ape tail. "My son, listen to me. Listen to the others," King Quince said. I'd rather kill myself than rather be with you, father. One day I'll have a greater army than you'll ever see, he said, then walking out angry, and slammed the door. When he got home, he shouted, Mastro! Mastro, the oldest, walked in the door, past halls. Yes, Quince? Mastro said. Where's Isaac? I need to talk to you both. Mastro has walked out, and Quince snared. An evil snare, and the merchant came in and gave him an Aroyan sword. Sire, I stole this from Aroyan. The merchant smiled, showing his crooked yellow teeth on his face. A very grotesque man, with huge pimples on his teeth. His teeth almost looked black, with cavities. The teeth crooked beneath the smell of rotten eggs and smell, if they didn't take a shower for 7 weeks. Quince looked at this, took the sword and the hat put behind his back, the honey gold cape. Go, he whispered. He heard footsteps coming. The merchant tiptoed to the big, huge red door, and went out slowly, quickly, and quietly. Isaac and Maestro walked in. Ah, Isaac, my brother, come here. I want to talk to you. Quince said. Maestro and Isaac looked at each other, in the confusion. Then Maestro walked towards them. Maestro walked his younger brother. As he got really too close, Quince took the sword from behind and slashed his brother's head off. And it flew off, and the sword landed on the floor. Maestro's head rolled at Isaac's feet. No! Isaac yelled. Isaac grabbed his Bertopian sword and started fighting his own brother, trying to kill Quince, and started the fight. You murderer! He yelled, clashing his sword against Quince's. Then all of a sudden, he heard a crack. Then the bone broke. Quince looked down. He grabbed Isaac. He stabbed Isaac in the chest. Brother, why? Isaac said, choking on blood. Quince sneered and said, For the throne. Then he let go. Isaac fell down. His eyes were still open. Quince heard someone coming. He began to crawl his brother's Isaac, pretending to cry. He picked up his older brother's body and started rocking it. No! No, why, God, Brio, no! Why? He cried out. The general of the commander army saw this gruesome scene. Tell Sergeant it would get the king now, yelled the commander. The general nodded. Then he went to get a CO2 hawk bird out of the strange bird with red feathers. It was the size of a bald eagle, but the tail was like a phoenix. Red and silk flow into it. And the minute he breathed air, it used the correct size and filled the animal council. His father came as quickly as he could. Son, what happened? Quince said, as he asked with sorrow. My brothers have been murdered by an Aroyan. Those bastards, they're going to get him. They get what's coming to them, Quince said. His father saw the Bertopian sword and cuts on his chest, and lingered in sorrow. No, son. You did it. Guards, he yelled. The 4 guards take out the Boris King. Take my son to his new living quarters. His 4 guards grabbed Quince before he took them. His prince and Quince spoke out and said, Father, no, you can't do this to me. I'm the only one you have left. You know I had to be king. You can't do this to me, he said. He was dragged into prison. King Quince I shed a tear. And 2 sons, he was the youngest, thinking it was supposed to be this way. He kept thinking of that before he went to sleep. After everyone was asleep, Prince Quince used his brute strength to open the bars and snuck out. He grabbed the sword still in his brother's chest and went to the king's living quarters. He held the sword high in the sky and brutally stabbed his father in the chest, snuck back down the stairs, and used his brute strength again, bent the bars back, and went to sleep. No! The priest screamed, echo through the halls. Prince Quince woke up. The guards locked him in the jail cell. They bowed to him and said, We're sorry, Your Majesty. Then let Quince out, and Selwyn followed him. Then they got upstairs, and the priest yelled, My brothers and sisters, King Quince is dead, and I know why. The Aroyan came and killed him. Prince Quince looked angry and shouted, We will fight against them. Bring glory to my father's name, he said. Everyone looked at him. The priest walked up to him and said, My boy, you are the Bertopian new king. May Brio protect you. Father? Solar yelled. Are you the new king? He asked. From the stairway. Yes, my son. Come to me, my child, King Quince II said. Solar ran down the stairs, wrapped his tan skin around his father. Irith! Polar! Come, he ordered. Irith was now 21. Solar was 17, and Polar was 16. My father was about 39. By the time our coronation was over, King Quince fell asleep. My son, a voice boomed in the darkness. King Quince woke up. Second woke up. His father standing beside his bed. That was pretty cool. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know it was kind of long because this is actually the origin story of the Wolf Squad and all them. So, hopefully I'll see you guys all later. And make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you guys, and I love you very much. Peace out. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you'd like more, leave down in the description in the comments what you think about it. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I really appreciate it a ton. And I hope you'll be able to see us all in another brand new episode of both either book or a vlog. So, yeah. Alright. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.